Hi guys, welcome to our field to yet another sound design video with Profit 10. I really want to make this patch, and this is a patch you can make both on Profit 5 and Profit 10. So those unison, polyunison things and splits and stacks really don't make for anything in this particular patch. It's a slightly advanced patch, which is going to use subtractive synthesis, but also very clever use of a polymod. So let's get into it. Basically, we're going to do something like electric piano with some broken noisy artifacts. So first, as always, when I like to approach the sound design, sometimes just go around fiddling and twisting knobs, but most of the times there is a certain idea how and why I want to do something, and when I want to make a piano, basically I'm thinking about, well, what exactly is there. So let's initialize the patch. So we have our default patch, and when we think about the era of electric pianos, that be reed based or time based pianos, Wurlitzers or Rhodes or any other, really, even up to DX, even up to DX and six operator FM stuff. Usually these pianos are created by mimicking the actual piano. And while it's very hard to mimic organic behavior of the piano that has multiple strings for each note, this is being emulated, especially this older synths. This is being emulated by creating an overtones that are going to hit in a certain time. So what we want to have really snappy, not really snappy, but we want to have a really nice envelope that doesn't have much of a decay, does not have to have much of sustain either, and but does have certain release. Now, for this patch, I'm going to use the Rev3 filter, so I'm going to use Curtis filter, simply because for the pluckier sounds, for the keyboard sounds, I tend to use it. Maybe it's my personal take on this. I think that the envelope on this one is somewhat less linear. So I think that on the Rossum filters, so in SSI filters, basically, we have a very linear envelope. While on the Curtis filter we have envelope that's more exponential in decay, and that decays faster in a specific way. So I'm going to use that filter. Going to open cutoff, add envelope, and then go again with a snap attack with just a little bit of decay for that initial punch, then sustain, which we don't have a sustain pedal here. My sustain pedal doesn't work for some reason, but we're going to be good even with this. So let's start with half tracking, and basically what we are going to do now. This is somewhat of a plucky synthy sound, but we'll get there. Don't worry. So let's have a longer decay and more of a sustain. Okay, so let's start with tuning stuff. So Oscillator B, which is going to be our main oscillator, is going to be tuned to C1. And we're going to choose the triangle wave shape for this one. So triangle wave shapes, they're something that the closest to reed steins and stuff like that. So they are the initial building blocks for the piano sounds for me. Of course, you don't have to do that. You can choose like maybe thinner pulse, but then you get this more of a harpsichord sound. So I'll stick with a triangle here. Okay, so that's the first oscillator. That's oscillator B. And remember, we said we need overtones. We need extra harmonic content to strike at the moment when we press the key. How are we going to do this? Is by choosing oscillator A and turning on the pulse wave, and then going like this, so thinner wave somewhat. And bear in mind, in the mix, this oscillator should be way quieter, way more quiet. This oscillator should be way more quiet than the main oscillator. You hear this kind of harpsy kind of thing going on, and if that's something you're going for, be my guest, it's fine, of course. But I want to make it more complex. So first of all, I'm going to detune this oscillator. So this one is tuned to C1, right? And this one I'm going to tune for an octave, so C2, and then the fifth. Okay, so, but I'm also going to engage oscillator sync. So this is going to hard sync oscillator A to oscillator B, and we're going to get these extra sounds in the harmonic content. We get this bass of the sound slowly coming up. Again, don't mix too much of the oscillator A into it. It's obvious why. We want to keep piano-y. Add a little bit of noise. Now, what I would, because we are going for this, I would say, broken-ish piano kind of sound, let's add a lot of vintage feel to it, and this is going to make this random behavior to envelopes and to our, mostly to our decay, sustain, and release. Now, for now, I'm not going to do any LFO modulation, but what I'm going to do to kind of finalize this sound, I'm going to turn on the modulation in the polymod section, both for frequency of the oscillator A, so the oscillator that we are syncing to the oscillator B, and the pulse width modulation on that oscillator. And we are going to modulate that by using the filter envelope. Yeah, let's turn off the noise so we can hear this more. You can hear this aftertone. That's what we are going for. This gnarly, FM-ish almost sound. That's what we are going for. Now decay here plays a big role. If you open decay more, it's going to modulate this more and going to be more zingy. And we get a bass of the sound like this. So basically, very close tones. So we have a lows more muted, and we get key tracking can even go like this to make it more clear. But let's for starters keep it here and then just increase the envelope slightly. And then resonance can go to now one trick, because obviously when you're using resonance you're going to lose some of the low end. With the latest update that the Sequential did, you can basically hold the filter, and here you have a Q compensation or resonance compensation. So currently it's not compensating at all, but if I basically go to 8, you're going to see that we have now more of a compensation in a lower notes, although we have resonance turned on. And now this patch is pretty much done. The last thing to do is turn on very slow LFO. That is not going to change much, but it's going to add to that age of the sound basically. And again, now it's completely up to you how you want to control this. You can again use Oscillator A more, and you're gonna get more of these overtones, or you're going to go more with the triangle and then add overtones on top of that. Now what we can do, we can add velocity sensitivity to amp and filter, and that's gonna give us more of a piano sound kinda. And then ultimately let's just raise in this noise. So the point in this patch is that we constantly have these overtones and the pulse width. So if you just listen to the synth oscillator, basically it goes towards the full pulse with the way that I've set it. The moment I press it, so it's louder, also we get more sound from the sync. And then with a decay, it drops down. Let's hear it with a little bit longer reverb. Play with this. Yeah, let me turn it off. So you can play with the tuning. So you can go with the full octave. Don't forget you're syncing the tone, so you can do whatever you want. Sync tone is not going to be a problem for you. Depends how much of this effect you want and what's the character of the effect that you would like to have here. So again, let's try and just raise it a fifth to the original. This is pretty much a basis of every electric piano that is being done this way or another with a subtractive synthesizer that also has a few of these gnarly overtones in its pocket, like sync and a bit of FM. So actually let's add a little bit of FM. It's too much noise. Cool. Hopefully this was of use to you. We're going to make more patches. Stay tuned. Hit like, hit subscribe, and hit those notifications. Thank you so much. See you next time.